Hi, my name is Will Dixon. This is part 2 of how to get jacked. This is the more intermediate video. So if you haven't seen that video and are new to working out, or any of the things I say confuse you, I'd recommend going back and watching that. But I'm going to do a quick review of the content in that video and then move on to the new content. So in the video, we talked about the training, diet, recovery triangle. So that's, you have 3 factors that are your main contributing factors to hypertrophy. You got training, it's working out. There's things like volume, intensity, exercise selection. We talked about some basics behind those. Diet, we talked about some just simple diet like macro, timing carbs before the gym. If you're potentially micronutrient deficiencies, eat your vegetables, kind of was what my conclusion was, or take a multivitamin. And then recovery, that's sleep and trying to chill out on the stress. So that was it. So we're gonna dive deeper into all of those factors. So today I'm gonna start off again with training. The most fun part of getting jacked is the training. So we talked about volume. That's how much you work out. Last time I said you should be working out like 3 days a week ish, 3 to 4, whatever floats your boat. But now you really need to be training every muscle group at least once, hopefully twice per week, with about 16 sets per muscle group. So what does that look like? That could be a push-pull leg split, where you do a push-pull legs, and then you do a push-pull legs again, and then you rest. Or that could be a upper-lower, where you hit like upper-lower, upper-lower, and then rest. So you could do upper-lower rest, upper-lower rest, and that would work. And then another rest. Or upper legs, upper lower, full body. You could train full body. Maybe you could do even like 4 times a week and do low volumes. So you might only hit like 4 sets of chest a day, but you do that 4 times. That's 16 sets of chest, right? So that makes sense. So that's kind of volume. Another thing, volume is how many exercises. So hopefully you would be pushing more towards like push-pull legs, upper lower. So you should do 3 exercises per muscle group. So you should be hitting somewhere in that 26, well really 16 to 26. 26 is kind of high, 16 you can do a little better, but you should be getting at least 3 exercises in there per week. Personally, I do about 4 exercises. I'll do like incline chest press, chest flies, flat dumbbell press, and then a different fly of some sort or something like that. So you get some more variety, some more nuance to your training for some better stimulus. How far should your training? So how far you should be separating your training out evenly. So whether that's full body and you do it evenly, or you do like 8 days, rest, 8 days for the muscle group, but you shouldn't do like 16, 2, 8. That would be kind of weird. You want to keep it more even and space it out so that you can recover in between as effectively as possible. Intensity was our other factor for training. So warm-up sets don't count in our sets when I'm talking about sets. You need to be training at least a 3-hour hour. There's a great example. You could have the world's best training plan written by like Hadi Rambod, Dr. Mike, all the leading people in exercise science. And you could do that and just like barely move the rates around, just like, I'm done, whatever. And some like random like 40 IQ dude could sit there and fucking and just really train really hard, and he's gonna get more results because intensity is very important. Now the other stuff's important too, but we want to be training effectively intensity, like effectively intensively. So we want to be training as best as possible, but still really hard, at least 3 hour. You might not have to push every set to failure, but in this intermediate phase where you're just now learning, you're like maybe 6 months, a year into the gym, you're still going to be able to recover pretty fast. So training a lot to failure is not really a problem at all. You'll hear lots of these giant bodybuilders talk about how maybe training to failure isn't amazing and you gotta stay away from it, you know, 2 IR, 1 IR. But it's not really true for you because, I mean, it's for me too. Like when Jay Cutler does a squat with like 500 pounds for like 13, you know, his body is just getting torn apart. But if I do like 225 for 13, it's just not the same thing. You know, it's not the same kind of fatigue that's being generated from that. So you need to be training close to failure. It's very important. Intensity is so important. Form, we kind of already talked about it, but you've kind of got the basics down, okay? You should have been working on your, you know, dumbbell barbell chest presses. You should have been working on your back squat, your rows. So your form on those should be looking really good. Someone should watch that and be like, that's a clean rep. Now, what do we do from there? Well, we should start to try to work on focusing on generating more stimulus. So that's going to be things like slow. So I'm rowing, slow on the way down, pause, roll my shoulder over to get a bigger stretch, and then contract, pause, slow. So we're going to be going slow on the eccentric, pausing at the stretch position, and that's going to help us get more gains for what we're putting into. And if you do that, like when I squat, I unrack the bar, I go slow on the way down, I go hamstrings to calves, so the angle's like this. Maybe if you don't have as big of hamstrings and calves as I do, they don't quite touch, but they should be getting pretty close. And you're gonna pause in that position, like 2 seconds, right? No momentum, and then go up using your quads, right? Try not to think about doing a hip motion, think about a quad motion when you're squatting. So that's how I squat. But fortunately for me, I can use less weight. Now, I love lifting the big weights and moving as much weight as possible and being an animal in the gym. But if you're lifting more or less weight and getting more stimulus, that's like the ultimate deal, right? We will take that deal all day long because we're going to be able to recover better and get more stimulus. That's like the coolest thing I've ever heard of for getting jacked. I mean, you can lift for spirit, and some days you need a little ooh-rah day, or, you know, ooh-rah day, I'm gonna, you know, kill myself on these squats and move a lot of weight, and I'm totally cool with that. But if you're focusing for hypertrophy, almost exclusively your workouts you need to be start tailoring them to be more effective. The SFRI, stimulus to fatigue ratio. You need to be bringing that just down or up, whichever way you want to say down or up, but you need to be getting more stimulus for your fatigue. Technique and okay, so I was gonna go over some terms. Concentric, that think about contracting. So like on a bicep curl, that's this motion up at the top. That's concentric. The squeeze is right here when it's fully contracted and you're contracting more. That's a good one to know. Eccentric, that's like I'm here and I'm lowering the weight. That's the eccentric part, the lowering, and the stretch is at the bottom. Isometric, that's like if I have the bench and I'm holding it here, and I'm holding it here. Or if you do a Spanish squat, which is where you hold a squat like here, like you could go down further, but you hold it here. That's an isometric, where you're just holding it. Isotonic is what we normally do. That's the moving the weight through a range of motion. And isometric is holding it in one set point. Isolateral, that's doing one side. Just going over some terms that you might need to know or you might hear about. RIR, reps in reserve. And then I got some bonus information for you. It may not need to be your biggest focus, but something that's fun to start incorporating are some intensity techniques. So my favorite and the best one is myo reps, or you might have heard them as rest pause. That's where you're gonna do like your I got a set of curls. I do my set of curls. I'll use my pencil. Oh, I'm curling my pencil. This is my last rep. I can't get another one. Like I try to get it, I can't. I'm gonna wait here. I'm gonna wait here for like 6 seconds. So I'm waiting. And I'm gonna go again. I'm gonna get 1, maybe 2. And then my set could be done. I could do another one. I could wait again. So you're getting those really stimulating reps at the end of the rep range that are really close to failure. So it's generating more intensity. So if you're struggling, to get enough intensity if you're not getting sore. It's great to do things like that. Also, drop sets. I love drop sets. They're not, I wouldn't say they're quite as effective, but they're still pretty great. That's like, I used to do this all the time, but I might take like 315 on squat. I'm gonna do that for as many reps as possible. Take a plate off, 225, as many reps as possible. Maybe 135, as many reps as possible. You even do the bar, but I'd recommend like at most 2. You know, starting to go to like the bar from 315 is that's a lot. We gotta maybe rethink that. I've done some stupid stuff, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I'm gonna take dumbbells, get some lighter dumbbells. Generally thinking about for me, what works the best for almost every exercise is you take about half the weight. I know the squat example is a little different, but like if I'm on cable and I'm doing push downs and I want to do a drop set, right? I'm gonna finish my rep. I'm at 75 pounds. I'm gonna click it up to 35, and I'm gonna do my stuff. And normally I'll get almost the same amount of reps as I start. Normally it's a little less, but half is a great drop. I got another note on here: rest times. You might be thinking, oh my goodness, I wonder which rest time is the best. And the answer is, there's sort of a best rest time. It's not like a minute or 60 seconds for hypertrophy. It's almost completely dependent on muscle groups. For example, if I were doing single arm like cable rear delt flies, like if I was doing this, right, and I finish my set and I wait like 30 seconds, I should be like 100%. I mean, my rear delt, let me see if I can get my rear delt. My rear delt's right here, right? It's not a very big muscle, and it won't take that much time to recover. I mean, it's just that's just how it works. So I might not need as much rest on that one. And then imagine I'm doing like leg press, and then I'm doing like rest pause, those myo reps, right? And I do like 2 sets of those. So, and I'm going slow on the eccentric, pausing for 2 or 3 seconds and going back up, right? The set that I'm going to be doing is going to take like 2 minutes. Like a 2-minute set of leg press is rough. Like I might need like 3 minutes. I might like 3 or even maybe 4 minutes. And that's okay. It's not like waiting longer is going to kill your gains. There's actually been studies that have shown that longer rest times lead to more gains. But to argue with that, you get a little bit less of a pump in general if you have longer rest times, and pump, it correlates with muscle growth. That's because of the flood of metabolites and such. Okay, so that's generally it on our training. So we need to be training. We need to be training more frequently. We were hoping for 2 times a week, about 18 sets per muscle group. Training close to failure, using good form, slow on the way down, pause at the bottom, working towards that. Our form should always look good. It should always be a clean, countable rep, but we should be working on switching to a more hypertrophy-focused form. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Diet. Last time we talked about protein, I'm going to mention it again. This time, it's not so lenient. You need to be getting about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. It's not really up for debate. I mean, there's studies that shown, you can get a little less and be okay, but like, how hard are they training? It's not always as hard as we're gonna train, right? So we gotta be doing this. It's not that hard. Get a pack of whey powder if you need it, some eggs, some meat. Get more meat in your diet, some eggs, whey. It's really not that hard. Drink some milk with your protein shake. You can do it. The myth about you can only have 30 grams of protein at a time, that's false. That's false. It doesn't all turn into, I think it's, what do they call it? I think they say it's nitric oxide or something, and you just poop it all out. That's not true. That's not how it works. Your gut may make more nitric oxide if you're above a certain level, but you can still absorb it and use it for protein synthesis. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm at 32 grams, or even when I'm like 80 grams, you'll probably still be fine. Like, it'll probably absorb all of that. So don't worry about that. That's an old myth. It's a bro myth. Calories. So you need to, at this point, you should understand, if you want to maintain so that he has like body recomp. Since you're an intermediate, you're gonna be gaining muscle. So that would be maintaining same body weight, losing a little bit of fat, gaining some muscle. If you're overweight, you may want to just focus more on losing body fat, and if you're a leaner guy or just want to get bigger, you may want to do what's like called a bulk. Now, I don't really have anything against dirty bulking, but what I do have a thing against is extreme caloric surpluses. Like if you're 1,000 calorie caloric surplus over what your actual metabolic rate is, like per day, how many calories you're burning, if you're getting 1,000 excess, that's bad. Now, if you tell me, like, yeah, I'm eating 1,000 calories excess and I'm not gaining any weight a week. Like if you graph your weight out from a scale, I'm gonna be like, you're lying. You're not 1,000 calories excess. I'm sorry, that's how it works. Maybe you're burning more than you thought, or you're not eating as many as you thought, but you should stick to at most 500 calories, and I mean, depends on your genetics, but you're gonna gain some fat at 500 calories, and then so I'm doing more in that 350 range, and that's working pretty well for me. But doesn't mean it's going to work well for you. And then 250 minimum, you can go below that, but you're going to have to get really exact with your calories if you're going like 250, because if you get much under that, you're just not going to be gaining weight. So I'd recommend somewhere between that 250 to 500 max. Shoot or 500 calories surplus if you're bulking. And then for cutting, it's the reverse. It's 250 to 500 deficit. If you're really overweight, you can do some more drastic things, and I would research a little more into that. But you can do a little more research if you have enough to gain or enough to lose. Right? Personally, fortunately, I've never been in that position where I've had a lot to lose. But that is a thing to think about. Meal timing, I'd recommend 3 meals a day with like a snack, 2 snacks. That works pretty well for me. One of the snacks should be some simple carbs before the gym, whenever that is. So maybe you just eat breakfast and then go to the gym. Maybe you dinner and go to the gym, or maybe like me, I go to the gym kind of in between dinner and lunch. So I have a little snack. I have a Rice Krispie treat in between there, and it helps me get a cool pump. So then we talked about protein, carbs. The thing that was left is carbs and fat. Carbs can be, there's sugars and simple sugars and complex sugars. Carbs are what is like the mainstream bodybuilding is like, that's what you're changing your calories with. Like you'd almost keep your protein. I mean, if you're cutting, it's a little higher protein, but you'd almost keep your protein and fats the same. Maybe reduce the fats a little bit on the cut too, but you're gonna change most of your calories with your carb intake. Don't go like keto, that's dumb. But like you may have to do lower carbs if you're doing a deficit, and then you can bump up your carbs if you're doing a surplus. Although if you're really struggling to get your calories in like me, fats are amazing because you don't want to dirty bulk too much, but when you're 17 and you like do stuff and then you work out, it's like sometimes you need a little bump. So high fats, because fats are 9 calories per gram, carbs are 4, protein are 4. Protein have a thermogenic effect, so they like take a little more calories to digest, not more than 4, so it's not negative, but you got to spend a little to digest protein because you got to break it down into different proteins you actually need for your cells. But yeah, so fats are like double plus a little of carbs and protein, so it's kind of cool. I mean, if you're really struggling to get calories in, hit some fats, get some ice cream, get some whole milk. That's what's up. Supplements people worry about. I made a little chart to works and doesn't work. Things that work, creatine can work for a lot of people. It's not going to work a lot. You're not going to notice a lot of gains. I'll show that in a second. Multivitamins are great, especially if you're deficient in something. If you eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, there's a good chance you don't need a multivitamin. Fish oils can work. Fish oils can help you recover just a little bit. I mean, like fish oils, it's gonna help a little bit, but we're talking about like minuscule gains. Pre-workout can be great if you're someone who's like really tired or lacks motivation or needs some more intensity. Pre-workout can be great. It can help you get a better pump. For all those reasons, it can be good. You have to watch out about the caffeine too close to your bedtime, but pre-workout can be good. Things that are popular that don't work, BCAAs, branched chain amino acids. You don't really need BCAAs. I mean, you break down protein into the BCAAs that you need. Your body makes a lot of BCAAs. Like you really don't need extra BCAAs. Maybe for like I'd have to think of a crazy situation. If you're like an Olympic runner who runs all day, maybe you need a little, but I sure as heck don't. Most people don't. Testosterone boosters. If a testosterone booster even worked, your body would adapt to it working, and then you would produce less, and it would bring it down to where it's supposed to be. So it would only even work for a little bit if it worked, which they don't. Ashwagandha can be good for like it's another one of those, take this, your testosterone goes a lot higher or whatever, but it's not true. But ashwagandha can be good for like reducing stress and helping you sleep. I mean, if it makes you more calm and helps you sleep better, absolutely amazing for you. Better than creatine or multivitamins. That's sleeping and being less stressed is super important. But if it doesn't do that for you, then there's no point. You're wasting your money. I drew a little graph too to try to help you. Depends on the supplement, but at most, you see this whole bar? This is how many gains you'd make. That little dark spot is how much like a supplement or all the supplements might add, right? You're not looking at a lot. If you're really locked into this, it's pretty cool. Having that extra is really cool. You know, your arms are that much bigger. That's awesome. But you know, I wouldn't worry about it that much. Even almost as an advanced lifter. It's important, but it's not that important. It's just something flashy. There's lots of advertisements for it because, you know, they can make money by selling it to you. Sleep and recovery. It's the same thing I've already said, but sleep 8 to 12 hours. Be hygienic, change your sheets often. Take a shower. Don't sleep nasty. Temperature, try lower. If you're like way too cold, try warmer. Then other things for recovery. So it's like, are you doing too much volume? The answer as an intermediate is almost certainly no, you're not doing too much. 1, because you can recover. 2, because you don't know how to train like that yet. And 3, because most people can't do too much, like mentally. They just can't do it. How do you know you're doing too much? You'll get sick. Like you'll get like a little bit of a fever and you'll start to feel terrible. You might actually like get sick because your immune system is that mad. You'll start to not really, like if you've really like training before and you just like actually don't want to go to the gym, even though it's like what you should do and like you're growing anyway, but you just like have no enjoyment of it. It's another sign. If you're not making weight or rep gains in maintenance or surplus, you should be making some in a deficit. But if you're not making gains of any sort, that's another sign. Yeah, I mean, I really wouldn't worry about it. If you're worried about it, you're probably wrong, unless you are running 10 miles a day and weight training, or weight training, you know, like Dorian Yates for 4 hours every day. You're just not, and like Dorian didn't train 4 hours a day. That's what I'm saying. Like if you do like Dorian Yates plus you train longer than Dorian, like, yeah, I mean, I'd have to see it to believe it, but yeah. Other thing, heat treatment, people talk about like a lot of cold plunges and heat therapy and sauna and all that. Cold is great for not recovering you. So imagine you have a building and it got struck by something, like maybe lightning or a storm. So it tears up all the inside. The coal is going to help you clean up, but it's not going to fix anything, right? It's actually going to make you not worry about fixing it and worry about cleaning it up. So if you have a race, it's great to do like a cold plunge the day before, because it's going to flush like all the bad stuff out and you're going to become sort of as recovered as possible. I mean, not really, but you're going to become undamaged. It's not going to worry about that, but it's not going to rebuild stronger. It's going to rebuild it where it was. But what we want to do is when that tornado strikes, we're going to get upgraded computers. We're going to get bulletproof glass. We're going to get all that sorts of stuff. But if you cold plunge, you're trying to get it back to where it was, not building it stronger, if that makes sense. Sauna, same thing. It can be good for like burning calories. You can sit there and get hot. It can be a little bit of cardio. I mean, you might be laughing at me. Somebody out there's laughing at me. It's a little bit of cardio. But if it elevates your heart rate to like 110 and you sit there for like 20, 30 minutes, you just did cardio. Like, I hate to break, I'm sorry your legs or arms weren't moving, but that's cardio right there. Someone's laughing at me, but that's true. Massage. Massage isn't gonna do anything to make you bigger, except, and this is the case for all of them, which is the case for a lot of things. If it makes you less stressed, it's gonna help you get bigger. Like if you go to the massage and they like, I don't know what they do at massage, like they will walk on you and you're like, I'm not worried about work or school or whatever. I'm chill. Get massage. Do that. It's gonna help you recover because you're gonna be less stressed. Stress kills gains. Stress reduction. Try to be less stressed. There's an Apple Watch thing. If you have an Apple Watch, you can do that little breathing thing. Try to be calm. For me, I just choose to be happy. Some people can't do that, but it's the personal strategy. If you're bonus, if you're an athlete and trying to think about these things, you need to be thinking about what you're doing at practice. How, if I'm training 2 hours a day for wrestling and then going to the gym, or going to the gym, then wrestling, something is not going to get prioritized. One is hurting the other, and you got to think about that. So you either got to cut one down or cut back on one. You can try to like fit it in your off days a little bit, but then you're not recovering. You just got to realize that it's a little bit of a priority game. Sometimes, I'm trying to think of a sport. I don't want to call any sports out. Most sports do a lot, but if your sport, you don't get physically taxed, it's more of a mental thing for you. That still can be taxing, but it's better than, I don't know, like soccer hell week or like football camp or whatever is going on. Like that stuff is going to impact you. So you may have to dial back the training or dial back the football because you want to get big. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, that's all for today. I hope this helps you. I hope there's some important things to think about. We're training intensely. We're training frequently, and we're trying to up our volume, be less stressed, and eat more protein. Yeah, buddy.